afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Wild Rift European Championship. We are here for another week of exciting Wild Rift esports, and last week brought plenty of action. We saw Gamelord, one of the favorites for the entire competition, make their way onto the Rift and show exactly why they are that. They've had a bit of a shake-up. They've changed up their top lane. They've brought in Hest as well in the bot lane. And I tell you what, their bot lane looks absolutely fantastic. Redemption on his Corki absolutely popping off. And you can kind of see why this team is one of the favorites. They really stomped their opposition, really didn't make it look close either. And you can see they were kind of toying with their food towards the end of the game. So this is a really, really strong team that we're going to want to keep our eyes on. But another team that has also undergone some changes is Team Queso. This team was going to the Horizon Cup representing Europe last year. They won the Origin series, but since then have made some pretty significant changes to their roster. They brought in Joey Skaggs and Methanor in the bot lane, a very untested and a very raw bot lane, but they did their job extremely well. Paired up with the likes of Andre and Acolyte in that topside duo that has always been so strong for Team Queso, and they also look fantastic heading into the later stages of this tournament. So we're excited to see more and more from Team Queso as we go. It has been really, really fantastic first week, and of course, we've got more to come this week as well. I am Scoundrel. I am really, really excited to be here with you guys today. But if you guys have not kind of been involved with the show so far, let's take a look at how and what the Wild Rift European Championship is all about.
Welcome to the official RIC Games Wild Rift EMEA Championship.
Everybody round, everybody round, we know we get hyped. Everybody round, everybody round, everybody round, everybody round,
And I'm joined by two absolutely banger analysts today. We've got Hell's Devil and we've got Stuart as well. Guys, I'm so excited to be here with you. I've never got to cast with you, and you guys are huge, huge creators in the Wild Rift space as well. So you're absolutely fantastic to have you on the show doing all the breakdown of the action. But before we get into kind of like the details of this week, why don't we take a look at the format of this competition so you guys can understand where the teams are and where they're going to go.
Take a chance to prove yourself and your team at the official Riot Games Wild Rift EMEA Championship and get your piece of the prize. If you're in one of these regions, sign up now for the WREC Open Qualifier. And it is precisely that, open. This means any team can join at this stage. All of the teams participating in the stage are going to be grouped for the best competitive experience by Riot, with teams from the MENA region being distributed to the groups based on their optimal latency. Your journey starts here, and hold that screenshot, I'll explain everything you see now. Through a double elimination bracket full of exciting matches, only the best teams will go into playoffs. And if you do get to the top 16, your matches get to be broadcasted. Do your best, because top 4 is the place to be in this bracket. And the winner goes directly to the grand final. But if you end up in 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th place, you skip a stage and you can go wait for the rest of the teams from the Last Chance playoffs in March. Don't worry if you didn't make it yet, and stay with me because you'll still have a last chance. You've been training, your team is at its best, so sign up to the Last Chance Open Qualifier, where again, any team can join and will be grouped by Riot. Become one of the teams that wins the most matches in your group and secure a spot in the Last Chance playoffs. This is it. Be the absolute winner of the playoffs and grab your seat for the grand finals, where all groups will meet here for the first time. 2 winners per group, for a total of 6 teams will be traveling to our offline event in Barcelona, where we'll meet our regional champion and our deserving representatives for the Wild Rift Icons Global Championship. We'll see you on the Rift.
You better not miss.
I'm so excited for Wild Rift Esports this year. There is plenty going in, loads of regions getting involved, but of course we care about our European Championship. Hells, let's take a look at the bracket, the upper and lower bracket, to see where we are. Tell the viewers how we got to this point.
Oh man, the games have been absolutely amazing, and they've been mostly stomps, really. And the most surprising game to me personally was the Zero Zone Weigers game, because Weigers is quite a good team, and Zero Zone just went right through them like they were nothing. And on the bottom we have RIX and Navi as well today, so just some incredibly good teams be playing up against each other. And oh baby, the quarterfinals are going to be looking so amazing, Ex-Scoundrel.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a look down here at the lower bracket as well. Stu, there is a couple of people that have dropped down into the lower bracket. What do you think about the names that you're seeing there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like as Hells mentioned, you got Weigers, you got teams like Principality and also Supremacy as well, and they're kind of on their last chances now. So we have to wait and see what happens with them next week. I believe we'll be getting them games, but they have to kind of go back to the drawing board after getting all the teams got stomped 2-0, unfortunately. So we will go back to them next week, and hopefully they'll be able to make it that lower bracket run.
Yeah, we're on the schedule here. You can see got some really exciting games coming away. Anything that you're particularly looking forward to, Stu?
For me, it's day 2, Control against Team Dark. I think that's going to be the closest game of the entire round of 16 bracket. But we got today's games as well. We got RIX, GG, and Navi, 2 of the strongest teams in this entire tournament. So it's going to be interesting to see what they bring out and how well they will be able to perform.
Yeah, and speaking of the games today, Hells, we've all made our predictions, and I would say most of the predictions have looked relatively similar, but I know that you have gone for a slightly different take on that Control Team Dark game at the end here. Talk to me about that prediction. What do you think gives Control the edge versus Team Dark?
I'm going to be real honest with you, Ex-Counter. This is a little more of an emotional prediction. I really want to see Control win. And although I really believe in their roster, they're incredibly good, Team Dark is a powerhouse as well. And for me, it's more of a 50-50, but I just put the edge on Control because I just really want to see them win, Ex-Counter.
Mate, do you know what? It's okay to have emotional predictions. I do it all the time. I need only look at Carmeline's predictions to know that she's rooting with Spanish pride with a lot of her predictions. But hey, we accept that because you got to root for who you got to root for. You make a decision with your brain or you make a decision with your heart. That's perfectly fine. Guys, let's take a look at some of the tweets that you've sent in over the course of the build up to today. If you've been involved and you want to get involved, make sure you use the hashtag WREC. What do you make of this one, Stu?
Garen doing Garen things. I mean, it's just a pretty easy champion to play. You spin to win, and then you just dunk on the champions. It's just that easy.
Excuse me, mate. I'll have you know that Garen is extremely complex, and understanding the limits of Garen is incredibly important.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Here we go. So 2-0 in top of any 16 group at the WREC more iconic duo. Yeah, Hells, you were saying like there was lots of stomps, right? We've had quite a lot of really kind of one-sided affairs to begin with, but it shows you how strong the top end of our competition is, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like this giga stomps, basically. Not even normal stomps. We've had super duper stomps. And I feel like the same thing may happen today. Obviously, we're waiting to be proved wrong because it would be really nice to see a very close series in the 16 bracket as well. And honestly, I feel like Control and Team Dark are going to be bringing that to us. But I really hope that we're going to be getting that today as well.
Yeah, and I think you can see here on the predictions, a lot of the community agreeing with you today. We're going to see some 2-0s. I kind of thought that maybe the Na'Vi series would go 2-1, but I'm still in the camp of Na'Vi. Now, I think this is where we might be saying goodbye to you, Stuart. I think we might be waving adieu because you're going to be preparing for a special interview that we've got coming up. But in the meantime, Hells, let's talk about some of those big stories coming into this week. Obviously, the biggest story is that we're on a new patch 3.0A.
Yeah, and it's especially a big story because we can clearly see this is like a competitive focused patch. And what I mean with that is if we just look at the nerfs, Camille, Morgana, Vayne, Jace, Lee Sin, Sett, these are all really strong picks in competitive, every single one of those. So we can see that they mainly nerfed these really seemingly broken champions in competitive. And I'm really happy to see this because this is going to completely change the drafts. Like people are going to be drafting completely differently. And a champion that we have to look for as well is Gragas. He got that small early game attack damage buff, which may make him viable in the jungle, Excandro.
Well, do you know what, Hells? I saw your video. So, so yeah, he could be viable in the jungle. Lots of other big names coming in. Amumu got a slight buff. I mean, I've been thinking about Amumu support a little bit, but it's going to be an interesting one. But overall, AD Bruisers, Hells, they're the name of the game right now, right?
Yeah, they're the name of the game. And we can see that production loves Garen as well. And production loves Garen as well. You know, these AD bruisers like Renekton, Garen, Fiora, all of them, really. They work really well in the current meta because they're incredibly powerful. And especially also because we have Orianas in the Dragon Lane, the Corkis, you know, the mages in the Dragon Lane. And that hasn't really changed. So we're definitely going to be seeing those AD bruisers in the Baron lane. So.
Exactly, and as you mentioned, having those AP champions in the bot lane helps you balance your damage profile a bit. You know, you don't have to have an AP mid laner that way. You could have the Zeds or the Yasuos that are proving really popular. But hey, look, I did say we've got a special interview coming your way. Stuart is on the sidelines with a mystery guest. I'm not going to introduce him. I'm sure he can introduce himself. So Stu, take it away.
Thank you very much, Excandro. I am here joined by the one and only Ryu, Riv Esports support. Ryu, how are you doing, my friend? How are you feeling after the win at the weekend? Hello? Can you hear me? I think we're having a few technical issues. I don't think Ryu can hear me. Hopefully he can hear me in a few seconds. Hello?
I don't hear you, Stuart.
Unfortunately, okay, we'll go back to the casters. Hopefully we're going to be able to fix this issue very, very shortly.
There's no sound from me, I'm sorry.
It's all good. And sometimes, you know what, when you run these remote broadcasts, sometimes when you get guests on, it can be a little tricky to get everything working. But you know what, as soon as we get a chance to get Ryu back on the interview, we will try and do so. But Hells, speaking of this first matchup, well, let's talk a little bit about their first matchup. Of course, RIX, the first time that we've seen them since that Purge tournament stuff that happened previous to the WREC. What do you make of RIX? Do you think that their roster has leveled up? Like, do you think that they are still a top 4 team? Like, I'd love to know your opinions on the roster as a whole.
Well, clearly they're a top 4 team. And I feel like during Purge, it's not like you cannot really say that that's the real RIX because they had just invited SC7. He was clearly not on the same page as them. But I feel like now, you know, after all the scrims and after all the practice they had, each individual player of the team is incredibly good. We all know that. And I feel like as a team as well, if they can find the synergy with each other, they're going to be definitely one of the best. And I feel like they may even become the best of Europe.
Yeah, I think they're definitely up there. I think Doom has always wanted to be an AD carry. I think that he is like a AD carry main at heart. I know that he played jungle because he had the brains for it. Like he's smart about the game, but I know that he kind of always has been an AD carry preferred role. Like there's always been the role that he's likes to play. So they've put him back into his comfort. They've kind of picked up one of the best free agent junglers in the form of SE7, and I do think that is going to be a slight upgrade for them. I think the test will be, can they take on the likes of Team Queso? Can they take on the likes of Game Lord, who look so dominant in the competition so far? I also want to shine the spotlight on the other side of the coin here as well. I don't want to completely overlook Blows Gaming. They've got a pretty solid roster, especially through Cyvek, right? That AD carry.
Yeah, Cyvek is quite a strong carry, but first we're actually going to go to the interview, and I feel like they fixed it now.
I think we have.
I'm back. Hopefully, Ryu, can you hear me this time? Is everything all good?
Yes, I hear you perfectly fine.
Yes, perfect. How you feeling, Ryu, after last weekend? Obviously, you got that victory last weekend. How you feeling going into next weekend now against the Zero Zone?
Yeah, we feel great. I mean, first weekend is always it's nice to get the first weekend out. You know, just start the competition and get the rust out of the fingers. So yeah, it's fun to compete again, and definitely on broadcast as well.
It's awesome to see you as well, and I know a few people have been questioning my tier list and everything. So I wanted to hear your opinion on my tier list and me and Excandro's tier list, and where you've been put on the tier list as well. I wanted to.
Well, I've been put in top of B. Okay, I mean it's not bad because I took a kind of a long break from competitive scene. I haven't been playing since I think August. So I think, you know, as a jump back in as well as having changed role, I think it's fine. But I mean, I hope I'll prove I'm higher up, of course.
I'm sure you will. And with today's games as well, RIX.GG, Na'Vi, any predictions going into today's series?
I think RIX and Navi will smash it. I mean, they're amazing teams. Like all the players are extremely well known in the scene. They've been competing at a high level since the very beginning. And I think any team in Europe who goes up against RIX and Navi will have a tough time.
Definitely. Really, thank you very much. I'm glad we got this all fixed. Good luck next weekend as well. And we'll get back to the casters as well. Thank you, Ray.
Bye.
Ryu surprisingly reserved on that interview there, Hells. I know I know Ryu personally. He was very PR friendly. Anyway, let's say RIX GG versus Blows. This is the roster matchups here. Of course, you know all about that RIX GG roster. Doom back in the AD carry role. Random being brought in the Baron lane, known as the GOAT of the Baron lane, really, for the European side of things. And they're going up against Bamboo, Javivu, Ezda, Sivek, and Lobo, with Sivek being the guy that we've kind of pointed towards being the potential carry here, Hells.
Yeah, definitely. Sivek has been a consistent challenger player in solo queue as well. On top of that, a really good competitive player too. And I feel like if he has a good day, he may be able to face up against Doom, who is obviously one of the titans of Europe, one of the best dragon laners in the game right now. And I feel like the real focus is going to be on the dragon lane in this series.
Absolutely. And before we jump into that, speaking of that storyline, Stu has got some key points for this match that you guys need to keep your eyes peeled for.
Thank you very much, Scoundrel. Yes, we did see RIX.GG last year. Unfortunately, they did lose in the final against Team Queso in the Origin Series. Unfortunately, they lost out on the last hurdle, so they're definitely going to be looking to try and come back and hopefully win out in the WREC. And speaking of RIX.GG, you have Random in the top lane now. I really want to see Random on these carry champions. Fiora is one of them AD bruisers that didn't get nerfed this patch, and I think will be a high priority in this series. And if you can get Random on the carry, he will be able to easily carry for RIX.GG. And then looking down in the role swap as well, down in the Dura lane, Doom as well, now not going to be able to miss any more smites anymore in the jungle. He's back in the Dura lane. We get to see him on his perfect role in the AD carry down in the Dura lane. But we might see him on some AP champions as well. We'll have to see how that faces off. And then on the other side as well, Blows Gaming, we talk about Sivek in the Dura lane as well. That Dura lane matchup between RIX.GG, between Doom and Sivek is going to be really, really interesting to watch. So that's my key points for the first game of this series. Back to Hell's Scoundrel to get us underway with picks and bans for game number 1.
So we're into that first game of our series. Hells, I get to cast with you. I've never, ever had to cast with you before, which is amazing because I really want to give it a go. And I'm super excited to see this first game in the series as well. I think picks and bans is always really interesting to talk about because it gets a good read on what pros think is strong, what pros I want to prioritize. The bans often tell you a lot about the meta. So I'm really excited to see both of these teams going head to head, especially in this draft phase where, things like Draven got buffed. That's a big pick for Doom. Is that going to be banned, for instance? That's an interesting thing to talk about, I think, Health.
Oh yeah, definitely. Besides the obvious picks like Jace and Camille and etc., I want to talk about Draven indeed. You already mentioned it, but I was going to talk about it. Doom is quite well known for his Draven, and I want to see it too. I want to see that Draven as, we're seeing a lot of the Orianas, the Corkis, the Morganas, the standard picks. I want to see the crazy Draven. I'm asking it. Please give us the Draven. We have to see it. And and another thing that's very important is the nerfs on the very important picks, right? Like the Jace, the Camille, the Sin nerfs. That is definitely going to be changing the draft game, Scoundrel.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, I talked to quite a few of the pros after patch 3.0a, and a lot of them said that a lot of the nerfs didn't feel too heavy. Set was still decent, Jace was still decent, but right there you can see Blows Gaming do not want to let Jace through, and I think that's fair. You're going up against the blue side, you're going up against Random, who is an incredible Jace player. Pros still thinking that Jace is strong, still scales well. That small percentage changes to his scaling and his base AD didn't mean too much for them, and they are happy to prioritize that ban.
Yeah, and a champion that I want to highlight as well is Fiora. A lot of these AD bruisers got nerfed, and Fiora is one of those champions that Random is incredibly good at, right? Because Camille got nerfed, and she got nerfed, especially in the Baron lane. Obviously, it's not a huge nerf, but she did get nerfed. But Fiora is still the same, and we know what Random can do on that Fiora. So it's going to be interesting to see how Blows Gaming decides to react on Fiora, being like a top pick right now, especially against someone like Random.
Absolutely, but Set gets banned as well. So even though I'd say Set got the hardest nerf, on the last patch. he's still being prioritized as a ban here for Blows Gaming. And as you said, that final ban, Renekton Fiora, there will be the Fiora, but I think that makes sense because, as you mentioned, Fiora is so strong right now, and Random is such a good Fiora player. Renekton up though, Renekton, Garen, Darius, there are a lot of these champions that might not be first pick worthy, but are still very strong on that side of the map. But it's Gragas.
Oh, there it is.
You mentioned it, Hells, you mentioned it.
Yeah, the Gragas. And now, is it going to go on the jungle? Is it going to go on the support? Is it going to go on the mid lane? Is it going to go? We don't know where it's going to go. And that is the beauty of Gragas. Yeah. And now, especially after that AD buff, you know, he can go in the jungle as well in the competitive games. And now, Blows has no idea what they're dealing with. So they just picked the Garen, you know, right? We like to talk about Garen as being the pick that can pretty much always work. And it doesn't really matter what you do. You're Garen, so you're going to be useful anyways. So I really like the start of the draft for RIX already, picking up that Gragas and just really not giving any information to Blows.
Well, that's the point. You've hit the nail on the head here. It's a flex pick, no information given. Random is like the best Gragas player on EU. Clue plays Gragas in support, and obviously with the recent changes, Gragas jungle is very viable. The Wombo combo is starting to build up though here for Blows Gaming. We're going to see the Galio locked in. So Galio, Camille still on the cards for them if they want to run something like that from the jungle. We've got a very strong team fight being built out here by Blows. And that'd be the Darius locked in.
Yeah, and I honestly kind of wanted to see the Camille. However, the dangers of picking Camille on the side of RIX right now is obviously it can just get countered by the Lee Sin, who can kick you away. So they actually decide to pick Darius. And Darius is very likely going to be going into the Baron. And we talked about it earlier. Stuart mentioned it too. Random on those carry AD bruisers is incredibly dangerous. So they don't want to be putting him on a tank. They want to put him on a carry. And Kha'Zix as well. So we got a little more information about the Gragas. And Clue plays Gragas in the support. But I want to talk about Snitch as well. I was watching his stream the other day, and he was actually practicing mid lane Gragas. I don't want to get your hopes up, but mid lane Gragas could be a potential thing as well, Xander.
Flexible. It is really. I mean, and Senna's still on the cards. You can technically play Senna in the in the support role and play Gragas. So Gragas is like the 5-man flex. Now Varus, I think, still remaining as one of the strongest AD carries in the patch on competitive, especially. It adds to that team fight lockdown that Blows Gaming is building up. So already you can start to see the gears turning in this composition that's getting built out here for Blows Gaming. You really want, again, some more CC to layer on top of it. I'd love to see maybe a Braum or an Alistair or something that just adds a little bit extra in terms of that CC.
Yeah, and we have more bans coming, and I feel like the priorities have to lay around the Lee Sin as well. We see a Morgana ban, and although Morgana did get some nerfs, it's not that bad. She only really got nerfed very much in the late game, but again, Morgana is still really good. Yeah, there it is, the Lee Sin ban, right? Like, they ban away the Lee Sin, and now the Camille becomes a better pick. The Camille instantly becomes a better pick, because Lee Sin is that hard counter that Camille really struggles against. So it's going to be interesting to see how the teams are going to be playing or drafting around the Camille being open right now, Xander.
Well, with Kha'Zix already locked in, you'd expect that RIX aren't going to pick it up. So, and then they ban the Lee Sin, so maybe they ban Camille. The Corki gets taken away here, so no Corki for the bot side here for RIX. We'll see if, as you said, they might prio Camille as another ban here. It seems like a relatively sensible jungler, given the fact that this comp has the Galio in it, and whether RIX just think that maybe they don't want to give away that combo, especially if they're worried about getting an individual lockdown. We'll see. Don't know what they've banned. Oh, Jax. Okay, so Jax is a very strong jungler in the current meta, and I think that's a reasonable ban here from RIX.
I feel like RIX is just kind of telling Blows Gaming, like, pick Camille. Just pick it. We dare you to pick it. We have a counter for it. I'm not quite sure what they would have against it.
They have
the
Gragas,
that's what they're saying.
The Gragas, right, is a little bit of a counter because you can barrel the Camille out of her Hextech ultimatum like you can kick. But there's going to be the Pantheon here, Hells.
Yeah, Pantheon, a more aggressive early game jungler, and he's there to shut down the Kha'Zix, to really shut him down in the jungle and get some rotations from his Baron laner, mid laner, just to be able to really snowball the game. Pantheon is really good at doing that, and now I feel like they're going to pick a very strong last champion as well, so they can kind of get through the early game, deal with the Kha'Zix, and get to the late game as well. So it's interesting to see what RIX is going to respond to this Pantheon pick.
Well, it'll be the Orianna here, so that has been obviously that's still technically flexible to mid here for Snitch. We'll have to see what picks up. It was picked on the last rotation. I think with looking at Blows Gaming, they have the Galio, which can be flexed to both support and mid, so they still have a little bit of like flexibility in terms of what they can bring as their last pick over on this side of the draft. And this is where we get to see what it'll be, the Nami. So that will be
mid lane Gragas.
Mid lane Gragas. It will be mid lane Gragas, or just throwing this spanner out there. If it ends up being mid lane Galio, mid lane Darius.
Oh, wow. That's
I'm
the
just
beauty of
throwing it
RIX's
out there.
composition
I'm
right
just
now.
throwing it
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, I really like the draft from RIX, especially because you don't really know what to do against them. They picked the Akali, but again, Blows doesn't really know what's happening on the RIX side. We don't even know. Like they can flex it everywhere. They can flex these picks everywhere, and that's the beauty of their composition right now. And I feel like they can play around with this composition a lot in the early game, rotation-wise. So I'm not expecting a conventional beginning of the game. I'm really expecting RIX to do some crazy, weird stuff, right? Like sending 3 people to Baron lane or to mid lane or to somewhere. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to be playing around this composition.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about what the Akali is providing, because I suppose you're trying to add some kind of threat to kill the Orianna off, because otherwise you're just not going to get through to the Orianna. There's too much front line on RIX, right? It's going to be so difficult to actually get to that back line. And I think that obviously the one thing you've got to worry about is the Orianna. But you've now picked 4 melee into Darius, which to me just seems like really risky, Hells. Like you're a great Darius player. You know that you eat melee up for breakfast, right?
Yeah, definitely. Darius can just go for a lot of tenacity, right? Against the Varus, against the Galio, against the Garen. He's going to have 55% tenacity, and he can just easily deal with it. And he's going to be able to build like a semi-tank build. And especially when you put Darius in the hands of random, he knows what he's doing. But going with all of that, yeah, that's going to be a hard one to kill. Meanwhile, as you said, the Orianna is going to dish out so much damage in the late game. And I feel like the Akali is there, combined with the Pantheon, to be able to assassinate those targets before they can even get to that point of the game.
But that's the pressure, right? You've got to take advantage of this early game and try and snowball with blows. You're in against one of the best teams in Europe. It is a risky strategy to employ for your first game here in the Wild Rift European Championship. Whereas I think RIX have gone down a very flexible draft. They've opened up a lot of late game scaling. They have a Darius, which is great into these quadra melee comp that he's got coming his way. He's just going to be able to stack up for free in every single team fight. Very interesting to see how RIX are going to look to play this one out. If you had to kind of like choose based on comps, do you think that's influenced any of your outcomes here, or do you think RIX have got the better comp coming out of picks and bans anyway?
Ooh, I would say RIX. I would say RIX's comp, especially also because Gragas can, yeah, we get into the game. Gragas can actually flex into a bit more of a tanky build if he wants to, right? He can go for the Rod of Ages and a bit more of a tanky build. And we do actually see a conventional start of the game. No one is doing any weird stuff, any aggressive stuff. Just everyone in their lane is counter.
Yeah, I think that playing it safe in a very high stakes competition like this is, you know, if you make a massive level 1 error, even versus some of the in quotes unquotes weaker competition, like if RIX made a really big level 1 error and it could throw the game, like you are maybe 2 games away or 1 game away from out being into the lower bracket, which is not where RIX want to be. So completely understand that they're just playing this one a bit cooler here, Hells.
Yeah, definitely. And we see SC7 actually already being very aggressive on the Kha'Zix. And that is a pretty interesting thing to do against the Pantheon, because obviously Kha'Zix cannot beat a Pantheon, and they're even going for the invade right here. Pantheon is kind of surrendering his blue buff, giving it away, going for the Scuttle Crab. But this is already quite a big win for RIX right there. They're taking the blue buff, and they're going to be taking the Scuttle. And they may potentially even be able to defend their own blue buff right here.
Yeah, I mean, it depends if they can get over to defend the blue buff. What they were doing is, I think they were getting priority in mid lane, right? They ensured they had priority on the Gragas mid lane. They somehow had priority very early on from Doom and Clue. And it does look like, you're right, it looks like they are very quickly able to rotate. They're going to bring Clue over to the blue buff to make sure they secure their own blue buff too. That's a 3 buff start here for RIX, which is a huge win for them.
Yeah, it feels like they have a lot of confidence right there. They have a lot of confidence in themselves. We can see SE7 in the enemy jungle clearing out even more, and he's going to be able to go back. And Clue is just making sure that the blue buff is secured. You know, both sides of the jungle are secured. We can see RIX getting ahead already, and a little fight is happening in the mid lane.
Yeah. Got Javivu, who's spent a long time on this top side of the map here, but Clue is perma-roaming right now. They're going on to random. Wait, I'm doing this bit. I forgot. Okay, just for context, I'm usually a color caster. I just... Hell, what happened there?
Yeah, wow, that was just... Jafiba was waiting in the bush, but he didn't expect Clue to come in with that knock-up and coming in with those heals, right? Clue just being much, much stronger, effectively countering the Pantheon by constantly roaming around on the map. Just such a good job by Clue. Although I want to mention something, Clue has doesn't have a lot of gold right now. He's like 300 gold behind Lobo, and that is the cost of rotating around, of course. And even though we talked about RIX doing some very good rotations, they're not actually very ahead in gold, Alexander.
Yeah, they're not getting a huge amount for it, right? Like that was the roam, and I guess it kind of stopped random getting ganked, which I suppose is kind of like a way of gaining gold by stopping the enemy team gaining gold, right? But yeah, it feels like that wasn't the most effective roam ever. Like, it didn't get much, and as you said, Clue just ended up a huge amount of gold behind at this stage in the game. I guess they're just trying to provide as much support to their side lanes as physically possible. You can see that Random now, he's taking a beating in this matchup, and both Lobo and Javivu head up there to try and put pressure on the star player from RIX.
Yeah, we can clearly see, right? We can clearly see Blows is afraid of Random right there. They're constantly roaming around. And the beauty is RIX knows that. RIX knows how to play around it. Like, Doom is going to be backing him up here as well. Everyone is just kind of backing Random up right there. They're not allowing Blows Gaming to just destroy Random and get ahead in this Baron lane matchup.
Have you noticed that they've actually transitioned Snitch into a side lane here? Doom's gone to mid, and they've gone for the 1-3-1 kind of setup, I guess, to allow Doom to rotate to whatever objective is going to be prioritized first here for RIX. But they've already put Snitch out of mid lane. We're like 4 minutes into the game, and Snitch is now in the Dragon lane.
Yeah, and I want to talk about something too. RIX has finished 4 items already and an enchantment on the Nami. And meanwhile, on Blows Gaming, they have only finished up 2 items. And one of them is a Manamune, which is quite a weak item. And RIX is taking the passive approach anyways. They're just going for the Dragon, giving away the Rift Herald. But I feel like they could have taken a fight, even though they're up against the Pantheon, with that massive item advantage. I feel like RIX Gaming could have done a bit more of an aggressive play right here.
Yeah, they're looking to try and get on to Ezda, though, who does pop that ultimate. Is maybe looking for the execute, but can't find it. As SC7 gets the heal coming in, and that's going to be the first blood going over to Doom. May even pick up the first tower of the game as well, but the Pantheon ult coming in here. He's trying to find the engage. He's already committed as he jumps straight onto the backline. Galley ultimate there. Brilliant shockwave from Doom to settle things down. They should be able to escape with Snitch just body blocking his way out. And Snitch will be able to just kind of escort his team out of a pretty tricky situation here. And I say that RIX come away with a huge amount of gold on first tower of the game.
And wow, there is the aggressive play that we were talking about. So they gave away the Rift Herald, but then they just completely blew up Ezreal with the 4-man turret dive, and then absolutely destroying Blows Gaming right there already, getting ahead by 2,000 gold, securing them the Dragon. Just absolutely amazing play by RIX right there. They were able to just completely run over the Akali right there and take themselves a free turret. So effectively making the Rift Herald worth less for Blows as well, because now Blows is not able to get the first turret with it anymore.
It was really intelligent map play from RIX as well, right? They knew exactly how many people were committed to Rift Herald from Blows. And they were very quickly able to rotate Doom and Clue down through the bot side of the map, realizing that the Akali was isolated, having built up a wave with Snitch. It was a really easy play from RIX to make work. The taunt onto SE7 won't come to much, but you can just see that RIX are very well aware of the map state and where they need to be, right?
Yeah, and the lane swap I really like as well on RIX's side, not necessarily on Blows' side, because Snitch on the Gragas can very easily win the lane against Akali, because Gragas just does well against those AP assassins. And then Orianna, Doom on the Orianna in the mid lane, can push out waves way faster than Cyvek on the Varus.
Absolutely, and what I also really like about it is that if you think about what we were talking about in draft here, Hells, you know, we both mentioned Akali is important for these team fights because she's one of the only real ways that you can kind of just jump straight past that tank line and actually threaten Doom. If Snitch just keeps Akali stuck in a side lane, it just means that these team fights are never going to have Doom like effectively threatened. And so you're taking out the big assassin who's going to prove the most issue with the snowball, and she's no longer joining team fights. And she also can't push waves back against Snitch really easily either. So it just locks the Akali up for so long.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is, Blows Gaming has to do something, and something is happening in the Baron lane. And oh, Random gets the free kill. I'm sorry, Xcandor, but there
no,
was just
mate,
way
trust
too fast.
me, when it's that fast, I really don't mind. Random takes a really nice sneaky kill. Here comes the Pantheon ult jumping in, though. Won't be able to find Random without a flash. And Javivu just there to protect the turret more than anything.
Yeah. And RIX Gaming is just really asserting their dominance right there. They're showing
That's a lot of damage. SE7 is looking for that final blow. Can't quite find it as Javivu just comes to back him out. But that is a huge amount of damage onto Ezda right there.
Yeah, wow. It's just a whole different skill level of teams. RIX Gaming just really showing how good they are in this game. And Javivu coming in just a tad bit too late on the Pantheon. And see, the problem for Blows Gaming right here is they cannot win the late game. they have to do something in the early game. And here we can just see Jafivo like, all right, I'm just going to take 1/3 with the Rift Herald, that's it. And I feel like that's not what you want to be doing with the Rift Herald. They could have used this Rift Herald for the upcoming Dragon to apply a little bit of pressure on some other lane, on some other turrets, instead of just taking a turret. Sure, taking a turret is good, but they could have potentially done a bit more with it. As you can see, the next Dragon is already spawning in 25 seconds, Xcander.
Yeah, it feels like a waste, right? Like at the end of the day, that tower was less than 1 plate HP. So a single wave and a single champion might have been able to drop that tower at some point. And unless that tower gold is going to net you a big like item spike, there wasn't much point using the Rift Herald in that situation. Though I say that Ezda Random finds the honey fruit right at the last moment.
No
He's
way.
turning things around. Dunktown Random gets another kill to his name. Beautiful timing on the honey fruit there, and Random now off to a great start on the Darius.
Yeah, and this is why we kept talking about Random on those carries. You just cannot kill him. He just knows exactly what he can do. He knows his limits. He knows that he can just very easily win that fight up against the Akali. And RIX is not going to give anything to Blows Gaming right there. We can see the desperate call from Lobo going for the Rift Herald, but that's not going to happen, Xcander.
No, and you can see the Cyvek has been relegated to mid lane wave clearing duties and has been for pretty much the whole game. And I actually really love what RIX have been doing, Hellas. I don't know if you agree with me. By playing this side lane game, they're actually saying we don't even care about your team fights. Like, we know that you've got a Galio, a Varus, a Garen, who are all pretty strong team fighting champions. We're just going to play a side lane game so that you never actually team fight us. Like, we never get to a situation where it's 5-on-5 because we just win through side lanes.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the Darius, he really likes those 3 versus 3s, 4 versus 4s, because he has to deal with a little bit less damage. And meanwhile, Snitches was just kind of chilling in the Baron lane, but, in the Dragon lane. Now we are likely going to have a 5v5 over this Rift Herald.
Trying to go for the snipe with it, but you can see that I think some of the outcomes of these previous fights have put off Blows, although that is a very interesting stasis from Doom. He's forced to flash away. You could see that Blows Gaming had almost salivating, chomping at the bit for that potential kill onto Doom, but they couldn't quite find it, and he will flash away.
Yeah, and honestly, a bit of a mistake that I saw coming from Blows Gaming is what I would like to say is Varus' build. And although starting up a Man Immune is good, we can see on the side of RIX, Doom actually didn't start with the Archangel Staff. Instead, he just went for like a Sapphire Crystal and instantly went for the Release Echo. I would have liked to see a similar thing coming from Cyvek, where he would go for some mana item, the Tear of Goddess, and then just straight up rushed for a lethality item like the Yumos Ghostblade, right? Especially because the Yumos Ghostblade got buffed.
Ooh, almost. You can carry on. You can carry on with your point.
Yeah. So the Yumos Ghostblade got buffed, and I would have really liked to see Cypher go for that power spike a bit earlier on in the game instead of going for that late game mana immune, because if you reach the late game, it's not good for you. You have a Pantheon, you want to destroy them in the early game. You want to be able to just completely roll over RIX in the early game. So it's interesting to see Cyvek taking a bit more of a passive approach.
What I really like about, we haven't engaged here. You can see the hero's entrance doesn't quite land. The great stasis coming up from SC7 as he flashes into the brush. In the meantime, you can see Ezda finally picks up a kill on the backline. It's Random versus 5. He gets the first. No. He's looking for the second. Can't quite find it. The flash comes away. He jumps into tower. How is this man still going? Random. What an absolute beast. The Cyvek goes down to Doom right at the end. What on earth did I just watch?
Wow, and he just survives with the skin on his bones. You just look at this chat, look at this dude, Random. This guy is the new addition to RIX Gaming. If you look at the replay of the fight, I just want to put the eyes on Random right there. Beautiful engage from Blows Gaming. But if you just take a look at Random in a 1 versus 4 situation, by the way, being able to pick up a kill, survive, using his first ability to heal up, and then flashing in and getting yet another kill. This guy is just way too good for Blows to deal with right now.
Oh, and honestly, Hells, we talked about it in draft. Darius versus melee comps. He eats them alive. He gets so much healing from his spin, that, his first ability, because he's got the chance to hit so many more people because they're all clumped up around him. And Random right there playing beautifully. That was a highlight reel Darius play if I've ever seen one in my life. That was absolutely ludicrous.
Honestly, I feel like we gotta get used to it, right? Random is probably gonna do a bit more of this during every game, and just look at him walking into the jungle right now.
Yeah, he's just right now got the confidence to basically 1v5 at this point. You can see they're trying to lock down onto Ezda, who does manage to get away. A lot of ultimates burnt here for RIX, so may have to be a little careful as they have burnt a couple of important abilities in the build-up to this dragon fight.
Yeah, and they were able to push away the Akali, which basically secures them a free dragon right now, and they're not even bothering helping out, as you can see, because Kha'Zix is able to clear out dragons incredibly fast, and Random is going in again.
He's looking for the dunk, but can't quite find him. But he has now got those stacks being built up, just looking for the right person to lock up. He jumps in, he's getting one.
Wow.
Oh, it's absolute decimation!
No way.
Quadra kill from Random, and it just happened before your very, very eyes. Absolutely disgusting.
What the hell, Random? Have some mercy. What is going on right there? Quadra kill. What was that? Just basically single-handedly destroying Blows Gaming right there. What am I supposed to say? That was insane, Excandro.
I mean, Darius versus Melee, mate. What more do we need to say? He just fed Darius versus Melee. Let's take a look back at that replay.
Yeah, and just take a look. He already had his full stacks using the stone plate, and this is gonna be the highlight. Using that first ability, boom, just killing everyone. He's just showing you don't even need the ultimate on the Darius. Once you get buffed, you kill them all. And Random knows that, and he does it as well. And I'm just expecting him to go in and get this Garen as well.
Yeah, there's no way. Bamboo does have flash available, but so does Random. But Random doesn't need it. He's gonna put him straight back in here. He's just gonna go for the dunk. We'll find the kill at this point. Random is unstoppable. Nothing can stop this Darius from pushing down the side lanes. I think also what I loved about that last little highlight play was just how well RIX chained their CC together. Like, it was Nami bubble into pull, into body slam, and then, as you said, that decimate just came through and landed a huge number of kills. As you said, didn't even need the dunk to make it work. And right now you're just seeing a team that honestly is one of the best contenders in Europe. They are absolutely up there as a top 4 team, but they're starting to prove that they have got what it takes to take on the likes of Game Lord and Queso as well. And we knew that, but we're just seeing it in its full glory as the desperate defense comes through from Blows Gaming. You can see now that Lobo should drop. The dunk should be enough to finish him off. They're going to take out the Akali with a double kill for Random. Name of the game has been Random this time round. With a Baron buff pushing towards the Nexus, it should be RIX Gaming take the first game of this series, their first game in the Wild Rift European Championship.
Wow, 23,000 gold lead in 14 minutes. We have never seen that before. Never. We have just not seen it before. And it happened right in front of us. What an absolute stomp game. They're just changing the meaning of the word stomp. Our previous games were wins. This is a stomp. RIX is just completely changing the game, and what an amazing lineup, Excandro.
I know, absolutely. They all played well. I loved the strategy that they pulled out to go 1-3-1 at 4 minutes to say, we're not going to team fight you. We don't even want to even entertain that. And so then they managed to find those sort of outplays through their individual prowess, right? They were saying, well, we're much better in these smaller micro moments. This was that first dive here, Hells, on that bot side of the map.
Yeah, this was the amazing play that set them up for this victory, that set them up for this snowball. And yeah, you know, Random is going to be like 90% of these highlights, obviously. But RIX Gaming, their macro game has just been absolutely amazing in this game. And again, Random just being able to completely decimate the Akali right there. Just, as I said, every single highlight is going to be on Random, this team fight as well. What am I supposed to say? Going in 1 versus 4, getting up those stacks on the Darius super fast, as you can see. And just cleaning the field up, like boom, boom, ultimate, and then flashing under the turret as well. What an absolutely amazing performance right there.
I mean, he's just ludicrous on this champion as well. We've seen him time and time again work with the Darius, and this was that unbelievable quadra kill moment. As you said, Hells, he built up those stacks, body slam, pull, and immediately into the decimates that picks him up a quadra kill. Varus wasn't even there, and this was that final game, or final fight to end things out. Not much that you can do as Blows when you're 20k gold down and facing down a Baron empowered RIX GG. You're just seeing why this team was, I think last year, considered the favorites coming into Origins, and this year with a roster that's been revamped, looking like another favorite coming into the Wild Rift European Championship too.
Yeah, while he was doing that play, I was basically just sitting there with my arms on my head, just watching with my eyes wide open while you were casting it. Just, what the hell is even happening? How did Random just get a quadra kill just like that in their very first game? And that's also why I told you, and you knew it as well, that Purge RIX is not the real RIX. And I feel like here we're getting a bit of a taste of the real RIX. Obviously, they still have quite an easy game right here, but I feel like we're going to get the real taste in the next match.
Absolutely. We should be able to see some of the stats from this game. You can see 10-0-3 for random with a very, I would actually say a relatively conservative Darius build as well. Like, this is not a Triforce Darius. This is a Black Cleaver with Sterex Gauge and Deadman's Plate Darius. It is a Darius designed to last longer in team fights. And to be honest with you, I actually might have helped him out with the way that he picked out some of those kills in the early game, being on a sliver of HP. 26 hells. Look at that damage, man. Look at that damage.
Wow, you know you're good when you do 3 times more damage than your Orianna in the game. And I'm not saying that Doom played bad, I'm just saying that Random just didn't really need anyone in this game. He just absolutely smurfed this game, solo carried it himself, even going for that tanky button here. We can see the steady gold lead. Just really shows that RIX had a very clean and steady performance. There was no moment in the game where they got behind. And yeah, we're gonna be going to the play of the game as well. And we can probably guess what it's going to be.
I can guess what the play of the game is going to be here, Hells. I don't think anyone needs to tell you. It probably will be the Quadra.
Yeah, it probably will be the Quadra. So, there it is. We can already see, right, Random getting his full stacks at 75% HP. And then here, the beautiful Nami Bubble, the 3-man hook. Gragas going in as well, you know, Snitch helping him as well. An easy peasy Quadra kill for RIX right there. And man, the problem is, and well, I like to say the beauty is that if you ban out the Darius, he's gonna do the same on Camille. If you ban out the Camille, Random is gonna do the same on Fiora. If you ban out the Fiora, he's gonna find another champion to do the same thing as Kandla.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just that good, realistically. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm trying to figure out where Blow can maybe come back into this. I think after that kind of performance, you are looking at a very strong, a very difficult climb back into the seat here for Blow's. But was there anything that you saw that might have worked in Blow's favor, or do you think that we need to kind of sort of have a complete revamp here for Blow's, even from the draft phase?
No, honestly, like, I hate to say it, but I don't think they can do anything against this lineup. It's just, RIX is just way too strong. They were 23,000 gold ahead in 14 minutes. There is really nothing that they can do, I would say. I mean, they can surprise us. We never know. But looking at that performance from RIX Gaming, it's just way too good.
Well, we're going to take a quick breather. I think RIX and Blows are going to need one after that game as well. When we're back, we've got more action here at the Wild Rift European Championship.
Breathe fire, your eyes so bright, the dark will guide us through the night. Bye, bye, my love, I'll shine for you in the dark. My tribe of stars. And I breathe fire. Guide us through the night.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Wild Rift European Championship. And if I could watch only one Twitch chat in the world, it would be the WREC _EN Twitch chat. Make sure you are following all the channels as well to keep up to date with Wild Rift Esports in Europe. That was an insane first game from RIX, honestly, Hells. I don't even know where to start. It was domination from start to finish, right?
Now, where do we start? I mean, like, I did expect them to win. Although I was like, yeah, Blows Gaming is also a pretty good team, which they are. But yeah, we have a very spicy tweet coming up.
I've been told about this. Let's take a look at the tweet from our interviewee, Ryu. Don't get me wrong. Playing versus RIX GG will always be a tough task, and it's no shame in losing to them. But Blows Gaming are straight up not even playing the game. Wow, that is some fire from Ryu. Ryu, I'm going to be honest with you, mate. Make sure you don't lose to Blows Gaming, because that tweet will definitely come to haunt you in the future weeks. That was some spice there. We love a bit of spice. The competition is about the spice. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah, seeing Ryu going up against RIX is going to be especially interesting now after that tweet, right? Because if they lose against RIX like that as well, that would be the funniest thing ever, or the best upset ever, right? We love the spice, and this is just some friendly banter.
I love competition banter is important, and I think I love it when the competitors kind of are willing to go out there and say some fun things. But hey, look, we've got another game coming your way. Stu is back with some key points to look out for this upcoming game.
Thank you very much, Scoundrel. I've got a few key points after watching that dominating performance by RIX.GG. The first one is about the draft, really. I feel like Blows really kind of put themselves in a trap in that first draft. They picked the Varus in the first rotation and then banned out a few AP champions. So they were kind of forced on this Akali pick, which, as Scoundrel as a Hells mentioned, against a Darius, you don't really want to pick the likes of Akali against Darius, because it's just really, really hard to play against. We talk about protecting the jungle as well for Blows. In the early game, RIX were dominating the Blows jungle. And I would really like to see Blows Gaming protecting their jungle a little bit more, whether that be their buffs, whether it be invades and everything as well, and ganks. I really want to see more from Blows Gaming. And yeah, someone needs to shut down Random, please, somehow. Just, you can't ban him, just gank him. Camp the lane, mid lane go up there, dual lane go up there, jungle go up there. Just somehow shut down this man Random, because if you don't, he's just going to run away with the second game. But anyway, that's my key points. Let's head back into game number 2 with Hells and Scoundrel.
I feel like they did try to camp Random. Like, I feel like they really tried to camp Random, and it didn't quite work out. But then, to be fair, I would say this, Hells, they did invest a lot of resources from Clue early on to allow him to give some space to Random.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, I wouldn't even know what Blows Gaming can really do, because Clue, as the support, has been supporting Random. He knows what's up, right? He knows that enemies are going to be focusing on Random. So Blows Gaming is going to have to come with some very like a tactic that RIX doesn't see coming right there. And honestly, I can't think of one right now. So it's just going to be especially interesting to watch them play the second game, knowing that Random is this incredible carry and that he is obviously the biggest problem for them right now from RIX.
Absolutely. But of course, if you cut off one head, many other heads appear. They're like a Hydra. And that's what RIX is good about them. You know, they've got Snitch who can do the same thing, SE7 who was kind of popping off on Kha'Zix too. And then you always have Doom to back you up. Now we're into pecks and bans. Obviously, Blows have gone onto blue side here. I believe they had choice. So they've gone onto blue side, and we'll see RIX now over on the red side of things. We'll see if that affects the bans in the ban phase. Maybe Blows say, well, let's not ban as many of those big power picks, because maybe we can look to first pick one that we want.
Yeah, okay, they start off with the Varus, but I was gonna say it would be very funny if they just choose to ban away like 3 bruisers, right? Like, imagine if they had just banned Darius, Fiora, Camille, like, okay, screw Random, we're not gonna deal with it, we're just gonna ban out everything. But it seems like they're still gonna be taking the approach of a normal draft, banning away the Varus. We see the set ban coming from RIX as well. Perhaps RIX doesn't really just want to deal with it, right? We know that set has been nerfed quite a bit, and RIX is like, I feel like RIX is kind of saving the real drafting strategies for the real hard teams to play against, because obviously they had quite an easy time beating Blows.
Well, I think obviously you come into competition always prepared to be 100%. I think that draft was a very sensible draft from RIX. I think the Darius was a great pick. Not that they knew that the full melee was coming, but when you see like Garen Galio, you know that actually you're probably going to be facing like a heavy melee comp in general. So it was a good pick overall from them. The Fiora and the Set goes banned from RIX. So that's not just telling you that Blows were afraid of those picks in RIX's hand. That's telling you that these champions are strong regardless. So Set still remaining strong, Diana being banned away, Fiora, and obviously then Camille being banned here by Blows, which didn't even get seen in the pick and bans on the last game.
Yeah, and RIX Gaming banning away the Fiora and leaving out the Jace. And I feel like the reason that they banned out the Fiora is because Fiora is really the only champion that is like, well, there's more, but Fiora is the one champion that is incredibly powerful in 1v1s. And they don't want random to have like a, lose up against the Fiora and then be shut down by the Fiora. So instead, they chose to give away the Jace and now have Fiora banned so random can still have a substantially free lane to play up against.
And actually, we saw the Rakan ban last time around. The Lee Sin comes through. The Rakan is there as well. So, something that I think Blows were, or rather RIX took away on blue side this last time round has been picked up for them on the red side with obviously going over to the supports. We've seen the support jungle, no flexibility realistically from the RIX roster. There is a little bit of flexibility with Jace. He can go mid, jungle, or Baron lane. Most people tend to put him into the Baron lane. We're going to see the Galio through again. Whether it goes to Lobo, whether that goes to Ezda, remains to be seen.
Yeah, and the Orianna is still open. And I always like to say, when Diana gets banned, Orianna becomes even better. Because I feel like in Wild Rift, the only champion that can really counter Orianna would probably be the Diana. And we saw it in the first game as well. Diana was banned and Orianna was picked. So it's going to be interesting to see how both teams play around this. It's going to be a little hard to pick Orianna into the composition of RIX, because obviously the Lee Sin and the Rakan are a bit more a bit more mobile, but it's a very good pick for RIX to pick up the Orianna. And I feel like RIX may even show this game that, hey, we don't need random to carry. We can also have some other champions to carry, because they do pick the Garen. Garen is not the type of champion that can hard carry games, right? But I feel like RIX in this game is going to show like, hey, we have some other superstars like you talked about. We have Snitch, we have SC7, and we have Doom in the Dragon Lane. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do this game, Alexandro.
Hells, I also saw your Ghostblade Garen video, and I'll tell you that I think Garen can actually carry really hard.
No, we're not going to see that today, please.
Let's see where we're going with Blows Gaming. Obviously, we've got a couple more to get locked in. The Morgana was not seen last game because I believe it was banned away. So obviously, that is a champion that has, I think, become very popular in Wild Rift for a couple of reasons, but mostly I would say Black Shield is just such an important ability. There isn't many other any abilities that do things like that in the game, and so therefore just having a protective shield for someone, prevent them from getting knocked up or charmed by the Rakan, that's a nice little additional to bring in, especially when you've got someone like Jace who's so vulnerable to these types of amounts of CC. So I like that combo, the Jace Morgana combo, mostly as well because Jace's hammer form is his true power.
There it is.
Yeah, we are waiting to see the Corki and the Orianna. So limiting what's really interesting is they're limiting AP options for the bot lane now. Really, the only one left right now, Hells, is Brand. And that's something that Doom plays. So
I want to say something though. I was just gonna say this is a very dangerous draft for Blows, because if the Orianna, there it is, the 6. Yeah. Because I was gonna say if the Orianna's open, you cannot just pick Morgana like that, because Orianna Rakan is gonna take away that Black Shield in an instance, and Ziggs can do the same thing. So I was just gonna say this is not the smartest moment to pick Orianna, not the smartest moment to pick Morgana, because there's these mages, like you said, Brand, the Ziggs. Orianna would have been the best one, which they banned away, sure, but Ziggs, Morgana cannot deal with a Ziggs. She's gonna have a really hard time dealing with that Ziggs. So they may even want to potentially look at flexing away the Morgana from the Dragon Lane, because having Morgana as the support or the Dragon Laner up against a Ziggs and a Rakan, it's gonna be hella hard to deal with, Alexandro.
Heavy AP comp coming out from Blows, by the way. Here it's Gragas, Morgana, Galio. There's only the Jace as the AD threat. Now, obviously, we've got an AD carry that'll come through. Ooh. Graves. So that's Morgana bot with. Okay, let me work this out.
Galio support, or
Morgana bot with Galio support, and then Gragas mid, Graves jungle, Jace top. That's an interesting comp, Hells. That's an interesting comp.
I don't like it. I don't like it because it's gonna be basically a free game for the Ziggs, right? Graves is gonna have a really hard time getting onto the Ziggs, obviously because of Ziggs' second ability, being able to knock away the Graves. The only one that can really hard carry the game for blows right now, right here, would probably be the Gragas and the Jace, and we see a Lucian pick as well, which is a very mobile champion. Again, really good against the likes of Morgana, being able to dash away from the Graves, being able to easily dodge the taunt from Galio. So yet again, it just feels like a checkmate from RIX in the draft right there.
Do you think this is Lucian mid? Because Lucian mid generally tends to eat some of these. Like if it's Galio mid, for instance, like Lucian eats them for breakfast. If it's Gragas mid, I like this because a lot of people say, well, Lucian AD carry, right? But the flexibility allows for a lot here for RIX. Like Lucian mid, I think beats most of the opposition that you could put in mid lane against him from the side of blows, and that's a nice little sort of change at the end of the draft here for RIX. RIX, I don't think holding anything back here. They're just kind of saying, well, we're going to pick what we know is good. We're not going to, we're not going to mess around. We're not going to troll. We're not going to, say, well, we won 20K first game, so we're just going to kind of like take it easy on the second game. This feels like a very strong comp. They've drafted well. They're ready to take the fight straight over to blows.
Yeah, it feels like they've drafted incredibly well. And I just remembered they have two coaches behind the scene as well. They have Mozilla and Deuce, and we can clearly see the power of the coaches right here, right? Like, pretty much a perfect draft, I would say. This looks perfect, and I don't see a way of Blows Gaming winning this match unless they play much better than RIX Gaming. And as you said, Lucian mid would be an amazing thing to do here because Ziggs against the Morgana, yet again, you can destroy the Morgana and the Dragon lane, just basically putting the Ziggs up against the Morgana and the Lucian up against the Galio.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. And also the fact that I feel like the comp from Blows relies a lot on trying to set up team fights around the Galio Morgana combo, like very strong CC there. And I feel like the side lane presence is good with Jace, but the side lane presence outside of Jace is nothing. And so if you let one of the side laners get ahead to deal with the Jace, it might be difficult for Blows to actually really make this comp work properly. Let's see where we are. It is Lucian mid. Lucian going into the Jace. And so Random will be playing up against the Galio. Not the Galio, the Dragon.
So it's a Jace mid and it's a Galio Morgana bot lane. Galio Morgana can never win against a Ziggs. So I'm expecting quite an easy bot lane for RIX. They just have to get to the late game, which they should be able to pretty easily. And then in the late game, Clue goes in with his ultimate, with his second ability, and then Ziggs ultimate, and it's just over, right? Like, that's what it looks like right now. Obviously, it may be something different. And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of aggressive plays we're going to be seeing from SC7 on the jungle, because he cleared his entire red side, may go for a gank on the Gragas Excounder.
Yeah, he might be looking for either a red side Scuttle Crab into the blue invade here. Again, would require priority, and they have got priority for Random's lane right now. It looks like Clue is coming up to help provide a bit of priority mid lane. I love this from Javivu, though. He's saying, I'm not going to let that happen so easily. I'm going to come help push this mid lane out to ensure that we can try and get some kind of context back. But I love that right now you're seeing SC7 take advantage of that specifically, is going straight for the blue buff because he knows that the rest of the team is a little bit preoccupied right now.
Yeah, and this time Lobo is ready, but he's on a different page. Javivu is on the other side of the map. Meanwhile, Lobo is just really walking around, not doing anything, which is going to get him quite behind in this game. So we may see a kill in the Baron lane right here.
Oh, I think Random's going to get away with it. Like early lane Gragas, you're not usually like instantly killing people. Random just manages to walk away. And I love what Doom is doing here. He's sacked off his bot lane and just constantly made it difficult for Javivu to get into the blue side jungle. And again, RIX just able to control the jungle, and honestly, Blows just give it away for free. And I think it's just poor early macro from Blows. They're just not capable of really playing around that mid lane priority that RIX is able to gain so consistently. And even there now, SE7 just happy to continue to push into that blue side jungle for free.
Yeah, and they may go for it, Excalibur. They may go for it.
They're going to go for it, and that's first blood. As you said, brilliant setup from SE7, and it all came from the play around the mid lane priority. RIX just play that first 2 minutes of the game that much better, and it gives them such a good platform then to accelerate and win the game from.
And the problem that I'm seeing right now with Blows Gaming especially is Lobo kind of running around like a headless chicken. He's level 3 right now, being behind quite a lot of gold, and ooh, Snitch nearly almost got the kill. But the problem that I'm seeing is Lobo not really doing anything, just constantly roaming around, trying to provide value on the other side of the map. But he's constantly either on a different page from his jungler, Javivu. Like here we can see him again. He's not really doing anything. He's trying to keep SC7 away. but SC7 doesn't really care and just takes away some of the jungle. And again, Lobo is not really taking anything right now. No gold, no experience. Meanwhile, Clue is on level 5 and he's roaming around quite effectively this game, Xcandro.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you mentioned it at the start, like the Ziggs versus Morgana. Like, Doom is just like holding. He's holding the Morgana at bay. He's absorbing waves for free, and he can just sit there and doing nothing while the rest of his team just completely clean up. And we are not a huge gold lead, but SE7's looking pretty spicy right now. Picked up the Serrated Dirk and the Caulfield's Wallhammer. He's working towards, I imagine, a Ghostblade first item that was just buffed on this patch, and that's something that we didn't quite touch on in the patch analysis. But that Youmuu's Ghostblade first item, champions that regularly make use of that now have a slightly smaller spike to work with around these neutral objectives.
Yeah, definitely. The Serrated Dirk got nerfed. They took away 2 flat armor penetration, but the Youmuu's Ghostblade, the finished item, got buffed.
Going on to Bamboo here, he does get a little bit of damage, and honestly, I think didn't need to flash per se, but was maybe a little bit worried about the kick and what could come if the kick was prioritized.
Yeah, and Javivu trying to go for the dragon, not easy to do. And although RIX is trading off with the Rift Out, we have some crazy fights happening right now.
We have some crazy fights happening here. There is the taunt. He comes back in on the Sonic Wave. The flash is already gone. That's a free pickup, a free kill there, and was a brilliant hold on the Sonic Wave from SE7. Just waited for that correct time after the taunt. And they're going to come away with the Rift Herald and maybe even able to reset just through, again, lane priority and lane management. They warded blows off that objective.
Yeah, they warded them off, and blows cannot even get near this turret. As you can see, Javivu is trying, but I'm sure he's gonna get killed. This is a mistake. He is gonna get killed by them. So let's see what's gonna happen right there, Xcandro.
Oh, no. That's a 4-man support. It's a 4-man support up here. You can see SE7 is able to dive away. That small nerf on Lee Sin in the last patch didn't mean much either to the pros. They're relatively happy. Should be a reset for RIX, I think. It'll be the Mountain Dragon that they're thinking of next, but their control in these early 4 minutes of the game is it feels like it's impossible for blows to keep up with. They just aren't able to make a move on the map because they're being constricted so heavily by RIX at every step.
Yeah, I want to say that they're doing a bit better, especially because when the Dragon and the Rift Herald spawned, both teams switched the Dragon laners to the mid lane, obviously to have better wave clear in the mid lane to be able to rotate around. Blows Gaming followed that up perfectly, and they effectively fended off the Rift Herald, defending the first tower in the top lane. So they are doing a bit better in this game, and although they're still quite behind in gold, they are doing a bit better, Xcandro.
A little bit better, absolutely. But they are about 4K down almost, so
yeah.
Struggling in terms of the gold output right now. But they are holding their own. The game has not completely collapsed at 5 minutes into the game, which was something that we kind of felt like on the previous one. You can see Ezda actually forced to flash away, gets knocked up here, but not going to commit because the rest of Blows Gaming are looking to support. You got to say this Bamboo. Is he looking for a? Ooh. Mate, he just didn't commit. He had Random so low, he must have used all of his cooldowns there because Random turned, used the ultimate and gets the kill.
Yeah, he used all of his cooldowns. It was a nice try, but Random is Random, and you're not gonna kill Random for free. He knows his limits, and just yet again got another free kill. Now he's backboarding, gonna be setting up for that dragon fight, and yet again, this dragon fight is gonna be looking very spicy for RIX. And Doom, yet again, not going for the Archangel Staff. He is going to be building it as a second or a third item, and especially in this update, because it got nerfed, he just straight up rushed for the Luden's Echo to have that early game presence as a Ziggs already, and he's going to be really hard to deal with for Blows Gaming already, because he has so much damage in his arsenal, Xcandro.
I'm interested in your opinion here, because I know you're a bit of a Ziggs fan as well. I always went Ludens first. Did you sometimes go Archangels? I just always went Ludens. I just felt it was more impactful, like in the early game.
I basically went for the same way as Doom, going for the Luden's Echo and then for an Archangel Staff. And honestly, in the early game, you can just rush the Luden's Echo because then you're able to get it before the first dragon. So no Sapphire's Crystal at all. Basically the same as Doom is doing in this game right now. And especially in this new update where Archangels got nerfed, it's still a really good item on Ziggs, but you don't need it as your first item. So you go for the Luden's Echo, deal that insane damage in the early game, and then as your second item, you can even just go for the Tear of Goddess, and then straight up rush the Rabadon's Death Cap. That's what I do. And then as your third item, you finish the Archangel Staff, which will instantly be the Sapphire's Crystal. So there we go. So we see the Tear of Goddess, and it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he finishes off the Sapphire's Crystal. And yeah, if we look into replay,
I mean,
no,
those Krugs, man. Those Krugs needed hitting. They really needed hitting. I completely agree with our replay guy because those Krugs, they needed to get farmed.
Yeah,
And Random did it. He farmed it.
Oh,
Bamboo finds a solo kill onto Snitch here.
Look at
That's
RIX,
a good
though.
little play.
Look at RIX though. Look at RIX though.
Yeah, they're going straight here onto Ezda, who gets bopped down. The hero's entrance will do very little to protect him. There's going to be a tier 2 in the top lane being taken by RIX. Baron lane second tier turret will drop just as the second Rift Herald is about to spawn.
Yeah, and RIX Gaming sacrificing the bot lane turret, totally worth it. Why is it worth it? Because they were able to take a turret themselves, get a kill, and get a Rift Herald. So you're basically only giving away a free turret. You're giving away your blue side jungle, but who cares if you take a kill, if you take another tier 2 turret, and if you take the Rift Herald. RIX Gaming just on top of the macro game right there. And Blows is being blown away by RIX Gaming right there. They have no idea what to do. I'm sorry for that stupid joke, though.
I know. Do you know what, mate? We celebrate bad puns, and that was one that I'm sure many broadcasters will make, and many will continue to make, and I'm perfectly okay with Blows Gaming being blown away. Anyway, the Infernal Drake spawning soon. Of course, we have that Rift Herald, like you said, often better, especially on the second one, or maybe even the first one, just to use it in a situation that will buy you a bit of pressure on the map when another objective is spawning. And I imagine unless SE7 finds a good opportunity to take a free tower, probably going to be using it mid around the second, around that second Drake, especially because it's Infernal. And you have a Ziggs, like you drop the Rift Herald, it might get the tower in range for Ziggs' satchel charge to actually do the rest of the work.
Yeah, Ziggs is just one of the fastest pushers in the game, so you cannot leave him alone in another turret. And the mid lane turret is going to be pressured as well. Although Blows Gaming is ready for it, they don't just want to give that turret for free. Because if you leave the Ziggs alone under a turret, in a few seconds, he's just going to take it. So Blows Gaming making sure that doesn't happen. And Random overextending quite a bit in the Baron lane, though. And it seems like they're going to be going for a dive very soon, Excandro.
Yeah, Random just trying to set up those waves on the top side of the map. Obviously, you had the Rift Herald. You could maybe even go for a tower. I think this is going to be a Rift Herald drop into Ziggs bomb for a free mid lane tower here.
Yeah, they're just going to get it. Yep. Oh.
And they're going to go for the engage straight off the back of it as well. That's a huge push. The charm comes through the hero's entrance to try and buy some space. Lobo has separated out this team Random by himself, and he gets taken down. Tried to go 1v4, but doesn't have the prowess of the Darius healing this time round to keep him safe. It will be a tower nonetheless, though, so an overall net positive trade for RIX.
Yeah, a good defense by Blows Gaming, though. That was a good defense. Sivak on that Morgana, using his ultimate and using the Stasis Enchant to make sure he stays safe. In the last week, we saw some crazy plays coming through with the Stasis Enchant, right? Especially from our nation. I loved seeing those plays. He was playing the Morgana, using that ultimate, and then combining it with the Stasis Enchant to provide a lot of value. And I want to see Sivak make a bit more aggressive ultimates. Right there, he used it only on Random on the Garen, but I want to see him engage, use a 4 or even 5-man ultimate, and just use that Stasis Enchant and be able to get that stun off, because I feel like that is the way for Blows Gaming to potentially win a team fight Excalibur.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting Bamboo picking up a pretty big item, though. I've just seen his Rabadon's Death Cap comes through. That's a kick. That's a very wild kick from SE7 as he jumps back into Ezda, who's taken out the fight immediately. Too much damage has been done, you feel here. I'm not sure they're going to be able to contest this dragon easily. You can see that SE7 is doing the work by himself. A nice little isolated pick there for SE7. They say that they're going straight in. There's the ultimate. The silence works wonders as Bamboo's trying to find his own space on the front line. It is Lobo as well. They're jumping in on him. That's a huge amount of damage as Random's on the front line. A double kill for him. Double knockup for Clue. The rest of the team trying to follow up, but they can't. And in the meantime, it will be a free Inferno picked up by SE7.
I want to credit Blows Gaming though, because they have really adapted their playstyle. And although they're 7,000 gold behind, compared to the first game, they are doing much better, right? Because you shouldn't think that Blows Gaming is not a good team. The whole thing is RIX is just way like through the roof. They're incredibly powerful, and Blows is, the idea is good of what they're trying to do. They're doing some nice stuff, but RIX is just always ready. They have swept everything out, do the engage on the Morgana, get the free kill. They don't even allow the Morgana to do anything. And yet again, Lobo frontlining quite well, but it's just not enough. It's just not enough. What can you do against a Ziggs that's just constantly dashing out bombs against you? And they really cannot. They're trying, but they cannot. And RIX Gaming just yet again rolling over Blows Gaming in this game right now.
However, though, I will say this, Hells, it's 13 minutes and we're only at an 8k gold lead. It's a big gold lead, but last game it was significantly worse.
23k gold lead.
Yeah, Blows are handling it a little bit better this time. A beautiful chain CC onto Ezda, who does drop down. The Hero's Entrance comes through. They're going to charm up the Lobo straight away. He should drop easily as the Sonic Wave is still stuck on him. The Gargoyle Enchant will not save the day as Snitch picks up a double kill. That might set up for a Baron here, as Random and Doom are just going to be pushing down that mid lane. As you mentioned, it's a very, very difficult pick to play into a Ziggs and Morgana. Just churns through the shields, makes it very difficult for you to get into the fight. And as we mentioned, that is the Baron getting started up.
Yeah, Blows Gaming is not quite on the same page. You know, Esther and Lobo got caught out, both of them. They were overextending quite a lot. Meanwhile, Bamboo was split pushing the Dragon lane and he didn't really commit to it either. And yeah, Bamboo could have at least taken a turret right there. Instead, he went back and is really not doing too much with turrets.
Oh, Random takes a huge amount of damage onto Bamboo, punishes him there with the Gargoyle Enchant to help him get out. That is the power of this new Garen build that's come out, that's kind of the Black Cleaver straight into Sterak's Gauge. It makes him tanky enough with the resistances that he gets from his passives, and also gives him a huge amount of health and damage. It's a really like the best of all worlds Garen build. And you can see he's pumping out the DPS. Has a huge amount of gold. Actually, the second most gold to SE7. But I'm going to be completely honest with you. As I think Ezda just died again. SE7's been side laning on Lee Sin, which is way more than most junglers do, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he's just side laning on the lane, and the highlight is not really on him on this game. He's been playing incredibly well, but yet again, it's just random, even on the Garen, just hard carrying the game. Like, this man cannot be stopped. You cannot ban anything out against him, and I feel like this is more of a statement from RIX as well, and that's why I thought we haven't engaged.
We haven't engaged here. SE7 over the wall has got that Guardian Angel to buy some time as the super giant bomb thing that I always forget the name of.
Super Mega Inferno Bomb.
Mega Inferno Bomb. I always get confused between the Ziggs ultimate and the Jinx ultimate. I literally do the same thing all the time. Nonetheless, we have a fight coming on. Lobo into the backline. It's Random versus 4 again as he's forced to flush away, picks up the kill with the ultimate onto Lobo. You dare step into my backline and I'll take you down with justice. Random picks up another to his name, and that's every single inhibitor tower that has dropped. RIX surely gonna close this game out 2-0.
And we're getting close to the 20k gold lead again, Alexander. We talked a bit too soon, but RIX Gaming, 17,000 gold ahead. How the hell were they able to extend their gold lead by 10,000 gold in around 3 minutes? They literally just extended their gold lead in 3 minutes. And here we can see the catch that they had on the Jace. And yeah, you know, they were just setting themselves up with the Baron to clear out all of the turrets, which they did, clearing out 5 turrets from Blows Gaming. And right now, it's just a timer that's being counted down to victory for RIX Gaming. All they really have to do, just secure the victory. Even if they cannot get the Elder Dragon, this is like, this is just a victory for RIX Gaming. They have way too much pressure coming from Blows Gaming, and yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. You can see they're desperately trying to lock onto Random, but Random is so tanky, has so much damage and armor shred with that Black Cleaver. You can see he does not care. As the charm goes through, the kick doesn't land because Cyvek actually loses the Black Shield on himself, but it doesn't really matter because in the meantime, Javivu gets taken down to so low. Lobo sacrifices himself for the team once more as Bamboo tries to find a kill back. There's the stasis. Actually, some low HP bars on RIX right now, but I think it's enough to just ward away the fight. That has bought enough time, though, to survive another day here for Blows Gaming. They won't drop just yet.
Surviving the inevitable. You know, we can see that there was potential for Blows Gaming to win this game. And they did quite a decent job. I mean, of course, they were still losing the early game, but there was potential for them because they had that Gragas. And but now it's too late. It's too late. You know, RIX Gaming got to the late game power spikes. Garen is going to be unkillable. And if we, yeah, he's become unkillable. The Baron is spawning as well. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on the heads of Blows Gaming because obviously they have to clean out these waves constantly and they have to deal with the Baron. So basically they have to push out the waves and win a 4 versus 5 at the Baron, Alexander.
Yeah, and Random here. You can see, and sometimes this triple inhibitor can work if you've got something like a Vayne, it's like a proper hyper carry. But there isn't really like a true hyper carry here for Blows Gaming. And I think, as you mentioned, it's just a waiting game for them. They can't even step into the Baron. If they do, they're going to end up losing too much of their base to super minions. And I think the Baron is also a death sentence because Baron empowered super minions in every single lane. I don't see a good way for Blows Gaming to be able to clear that. It's just a matter of time for RIX. They're just finding their moment, but I assure you they're going to go for the winners. They actually lock up Bamboo. He's the main target. They want him dead, and he does drop eventually. In the meantime, Baron just spinning to winning. Random is unstoppable on top of the entire team. It's a double kill for him on the Garen, a double kill for Snitch, and it will be a 2-0 record here for RIX versus Blows.
Yet again, another 2-0 victory. What a convincing victory by RIX Gaming right there, showing what they're made of. What an insanely unit of a team. What a beautiful team. And I'm just makes me even more excited for the next cases that are going to be coming up in the quarterfinals, right? Like RIX Gaming potentially playing up against Game Lords or Team Queso in the finals as well. Just what are these games going to look like, Excandrel?
Oh man, I don't know, because you've got some teams that have just absolutely put their foot down in this round. And as you mentioned, when they start to match up against opposition that is of a similar level to them, then we're going to see the fireworks go. We really are going to see the fireworks go. Let's take a look back at the, I think we're looking at some of the main highlights from this game, and you can see, to be honest with you, it's all about RIX's super aggressive dives, like just their ability to play the map and just play around their turret takes as well here, Hells.
Yeah, especially in this game, RIX really showed that they have the macro game as well, right? With SE7 doing those crazy little dives in the early game especially, you know, telling his teammates, hey guys, come, let's get a free kill for Random in the early game. And here you can see as well, you know, just constantly playing the macro game well and knowing what to do is just the way to play the game for RIX right there. And again, highlights on Random for this game, playing the Garen perfectly, tanking up all the damage, using up that stone play, turret diving, tanking for his team, and also dealing a lot of damage, which we're gonna see very shortly in the stats of the game. And yeah, you know, Doom constantly being safe on that Ziggs, providing a lot of value to his team, dealing a lot of damage per second. Just really perfect play from RIX right there, Excandrel.
It didn't really ever feel like they were out of the game. Like it always felt like a RIX victory, you know, and that's I think that's what made it difficult for Blows. Not at one point in the game did we think that Blows are on the victory path. We always felt that they were hanging on, and they were then hanging on by a little bit, and then they were hanging on by a lot, and then the game was just gone. And I think that's the problem when you're playing up against a team like RIX, is they don't give you breathing space. Like sometimes you just need a bit of breathing space to find your way back into a game. RIX don't give that to you. They are constantly proactive, constantly looking for ways to accelerate their lead, and then obviously looking for ways to straight up finish the game. And that was just two beautiful displays from RIX on how to play Wild Rift at a super high level.
Yeah, two beautiful displays indeed. And after this, we're going to have Navi up against Anthropic as well. And that's probably going to be just as beautiful of the play. So as we look into the stats right there, I'm honestly very interested to see, again, on those stats of Random. Did he really do more damage than Doom, you think, Excandrel?
I think he's done a lot of damage. I think Random has done a lot of damage. We'll take a look in just a moment. You can see the builds coming through though. Again, a fairly conservative build overall from Random, but that 2-item spike of the Black Cleaver, yeah, he almost. I will say this to caveat. No matter how unimpressive Zig's stats will be, he always does the most damage on your team.
Yeah,
because it's just
always.
so easy for him to land poke, right? But yeah, very good damage for a Garen, but when you've got two ranged carries in your team, honestly.
Yeah, and yet again, you know, if the game got to the late game, we know that Doom would have absolutely hard stomped them, right? Doom was basically building up his build, getting that Sapphire's Crystal, getting that Rabadon's Death Cap. He didn't quite have it at the end of the game yet. And yeah, he would have absolutely hard carried the game afterwards. And here, yet again, we can see the graph just going up or down in this case, very steadily, no real bumps or anything, just a very solid and easy victory for RIX.
So here's the question, Hells. Obviously, for the first game, the play of the game was very easy to predict. What do you think the play of the game was this time round?
Oh man,
we can have a look at it. By the way, we can definitely have a look at it. I'm making Hells think. What could be the standout play of the game this time round?
I don't know. That's stupid to say as an analyst. I don't know. There were so many plays of the games. I actually don't know. So as we can see, it is the engage at the end with the beautiful Ziggs ultimate right there. And yeah, again, leaving Blows Gaming just desperate to really do anything, right? Lobo going in, trying to taunt people. They did get a kill from Bamboo, but again, it was just way too late, and RIX Gaming just basically making plays of the games throughout the entire game, in my opinion.
Yeah, do you know what I actually liked about that play of the game? It was a moment where Blows Gaming actually, despite being a ridiculous amount of goal behind, played the team fight really well and basically stopped the game from ending when it was surely over. So and I did quite like that about that play of the game. Well chosen, producers behind the scene. That was a good choice, I think. Let's take a look at the MVP then, the most valuable player. Who was our player of the series? I'm not gonna put a bet on with you here, Hells. I'm not gonna put a bet on with you because I know you know who it is.
Yeah, we all know who it is. It's obviously random. And that's the new player of the game. And I love that they showed this play of him, just showing how hard he was asserting his dominance, even in a 1 versus 4. And although he did get help from his team, to just look at that. I mean, come on. That is like the perfect play that you can make for Darius. And Darius mains absolutely loved watching that here as well, you know, getting that early kill on the Morgana, just basically providing the most value in every single game, going 8-on-1 on the Garen in this game. Just what an incredible performance coming in from Random, especially as a new player coming into RIX, Excalibur.
Yeah, and obviously he was on Game Lord last year, so had a lot of experience in competitive. But that is a huge performance from him and showing that he means business. This is the tweet that we had during the series. Random supremacy. WREC players running away from him because he is just that scary, that good at the game. I think that's a very apt description of this series here, Held, if I'm completely honest with you.
Yeah, putting him on Darius, everyone is just running away from him. And we saw it happen in the first game and in the second game as well. Just everyone is running away from him. They don't know what to do. How do you deal with a player of that caliber? You know, just run away. You cannot do anything. I love that we're getting tweets like this, you know, memeing a bit around. So yeah.
We haven't got an interview lined up just yet, guys. Hopefully we're getting one after the short break that's coming your way. Of course, we have one more series left today, and that'll be Na'Vi versus EIQ. So make sure you stay around, guys. We'll be back after a very short break. We're jumping into our second series and hopefully talking to someone from RIX as well. We'll see you very soon.